Objection!
Objection! Objection!
Objection!
Objection!
Objection! Take that!
Objection!
Objection! Take that!
Objection! Objection! Objection!
Objection!
Oh, just realised my... God, just realised my headset was off. What must I give up on? It's not the question you have to ask yourself here. Farewell! It's what can I protect? Hello again, Miss No-Holo. It's been far too long. But what are you... Thanks for the backache. Ah! My first successful takedown in 6 months. Maybe time to talk later, Miss Naruhodo. For now... could you help me back to my feet first? Which is working out not what I have to give up on, but what I can protect. Professor Harebrain. Ah, yes. Yesterday you told me that science is the pursuit of truth. Well, my job is the pursuit of truth too. Yes, of course. And personally, I believe that you didn't stab Mr. Osmond. I think you've come to realize something yourself too, haven't you? That your experiment and the machine you built with the victim are questionable. The truth behind that is what we must both pursue now. So, you finally opened your eyes. What? And as for you, Albert, you can't ignore this any longer. Ah! Having heard my learned friend's assertion, don't you have something to say? Baroque! Lord Van Zieks! Gosh, I've never heard him speak that way before. In truth, there is one thing. Something I've remembered that's of relevance. What? On the day it happened, just before I began the experiment, I saw a man near the stage. A man holding that crossbow. I beg your pardon? Professor, did the man have any distinguishing features? What did he look like? Taller than me and thinner than me, with straighter and whiter than mine. Let me see, one less lens than me too, a monocle, a rather stylish black monocle. But one thing in particular I hope to positively identify the man. You see, I know him very well. After all, he's the engineer who built my invention. What? He built the machine? That's right. Mr. Asmund introduced him to me a year ago. He's a man by the name of Enoch Drebber. Enoch Drebber! Does this name mean something? Members of the jury seem fluttered. Not a name any scientist wishes to hear. The man's an abomination. Not a name any conjurer wishes to hear either. You're on Earth, is he? I'm afraid this isn't the first tale of this nature that I've heard in scientific circles and connect. Name, this talk of other flamboyant experiments have turned out to be nothing but stage trickery in the end. Obviously, the rascal is after the government's research grant money. When magicians are in need of money, I have heard of them resorting to these underhand tactics. Some acquaintances of mine with experience of such things have mentioned Enoch Drebber's name before. The man is both an engineer and a magician. Yes, we're dealing with an unparalleled confidence trickster here. That's Enoch Drebber for you. So it's true then. My invention, my great machine, it was just a grand delusion? Considering what we've just heard about Mr. Drebber's character, I'm sorry to say that sounds increasingly likely. Even though no one else believed it, I wanted to. I wanted to believe that machine would function exactly as my hypothesis predicted. Which is why you were so opposed to it being investigated, I presume. I knew that if the machine was examined in detail, its construction would give away my hypothesis. Obviously, I didn't want that to happen, but at the same time, I knew that if it was found to be nothing more than a trick, than a work of deception, and everything I'd worked towards, all my research, all my dreams, my whole life would be over. I was terrified at the prospect. So you really had no idea then, did you? About the true nature of the machine that was built and the true nature of Mr. Drebber? I never questioned anything. I didn't want to question it. It's entirely possible that Mr. Osmond and Mr. Drebber were working together to use you as a means of fraudulently acquiring the research grant money. When I announced my invention to the crowds that day, it was the finest moment of my career. I pulled all the levers and turned all the dials in exactly the way Drebber had described. When the smoke suddenly started billowing out, I panicked. I didn't know what was happening. But I really don't know how the whole illusion was made to work. I don't know anything anymore. Let me confirm one final point for you, Professor. Do you now consent to the prosecution submitting the necessary paperwork to release your invention from the protection afforded by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act? Yes, please go ahead. I'm very sorry. It would appear that we shall have to suspend proceedings for the remainder of the day now. Lord Van Zieks. My lord. The court has newly been made aware of another party whose involvement in this matter is critical. Yes, Mr. Drebber. Gather information about the man. If possible, I should like him served with a subpoena. With pleasure, my lord. Now comes for the defense. Yes, my lord? When we reconvene, I shall be looking for one thing and one thing alone from you. Evidence that the defendant is innocent of the crime for which he presently stands accused. I understand. Good. In that case, this court is adjourned until tomorrow morning. Okay. Did I get any dialogue yet? Nope. Surprising that there's not been an update to say that it's part of a balloon now. Miss Navajo. Yes. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. You're right. I tricked you. You trusted me. I dragged you into a mess. Oh, how did it ever come to this? I'm so sorry. You really have no idea, Professor, about what Mr. Trevor was really up to, I mean, about what he was really constructing. Naturally, that machine was the embodiment of my hypothesis, of all my hopes and dreams. I had complete faith in it. Alright, in that case, I won't say any more. Now, sadly, the murder accusation against you still stands. So I must do as much investigation as we can before the trial resumes tomorrow. Well, thank you for doing so much for me. I'm so sorry for arriving late this morning, Miss Narada. Arriving late? Didn't you see my postcard? I wanted to let you know when I'd arrive. Postcard? What postcard? I hid it from you, Runo, so you'd be surprised. Well, did it work? I was surprised, alright, especially when she threw me to the ground. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I was just so happy to see you again that I sort of slipped out. Maybe we could stick to more traditional displays of emotion in future. Susie's train was late to London Victoria this morning, you see. We made the coachman really whip the horses hard so she didn't miss the rail trial. I was watching from the gallery for a while, but in the end I'm afraid I couldn't contain myself. Well, I'm glad you didn't. Oh, having out my side in court gives me the strength I need to win. So, I'm delighted to see you back in London. Oh, you're too kind, Miss Navajo. I'm delighted to be here. I hope I can continue to be of service to you. Of course. So, what's brought you back? Did Professor Mikotoga not protest? Let's save all that conversation for when we're back at home, shall we? You know, I've made one of my most special blends ever for this special occasion. Oh, I miss so wonderful. I can't wait. Susato-san was back in London. It's hard to describe how happy that made me feel at the time. But despite my elation, our tale was about to take yet another extraordinary turn. Investigation Part 2. 23rd October, 2:41 PM. Navajo's Legal Consultancy. Oh, this room, it's been too long. I haven't changed in the slightest. It's been some 6 months, hasn't it? That's a long time for him to stay so familiar. I didn't know when you might return, and I wanted everything to be as you left it. But it has been some 6 months, it's true. It says your father right, Susie. What happened? My father? Yes, Professor Mikotoga. I mean, it was half a year ago, but that's why you went back to Japan. Because of a telegram you received saying you'd fallen ill with a very high fever for some unknown reason. That's right. So I was surprised to learn you'd be coming back so soon. Surprised? What happened? I think I wrote about it in my letter to you. That was all a trick. My father is in fine health. I'm obviously very relieved about that. Well, we're all delighted to have you back. Quite by accident I've been able to return to Europe, actually. There's a very grand conference called the International Forensic Science Symposium. The International Forensic... That's symposium Lord Strongheart mentioned. Anyway, I've arrived safe and sound, and all that matters is that I'm here now. After all, I haven't yet fulfilled my promise to you, Iris. Oh? Oh? You must tell us everything that happened while you were back in Japan. Yes, of course, I shall. And there's one other thing. Something you wrote in your letter that particularly grabbed my attention about you-know-who. About Kazuma. I know. I'll tell you all that I can. Back in Britain. When I first arrived back in Japan, I really thought I'd never be allowed to return to Britain. Curiously, after that awful trial at the Supreme Court, Father's mood changed entirely. The awful trial? Oh yes, for the murder of Giselle Brett. Oh, you just demanded, didn't you, Susie? Oh, well, yes. Since being enough forbidden in the courtroom, I had no choice. From what I can gather, they were going to make Miyataro DLC costume, but they didn't have the funds when it came to bringing it over to Britain. I mean, oh yeah, wow, amazing! I wish I'd seen it. Don't you know? Yes, I suppose so. I'm playing being a lawyer now. I could wear a false mustache, maybe. I don't need a false mustache. I don't think any mustache could hide the fact that you're just 10 years old, Iris. There's something else I've been wanting to ask you, Mr. Sato. It's about the real reason why Professor Mikotoba summoned you back to Japan. You said in your letter it was something to do with that convict's loot you found in Mr. Natsume's lodgings. That's right, in the very large dog collar we found with the B emblem on it. Van Zeek's. And I have a feeling that the professor's worries were linked more to Asman, and Asman being the boss of a large criminal organization, and Dreba. It seems Mr. Natsume included a drawing of the collar in the report he submitted about his time in Britain. I understand that when Father saw the report, he turned as white as a sheet. How would that be then? Father came to Britain himself, of course, to study. Some time ago now, but he stayed for 6 years. I can only imagine that something must have happened during that time. But if he refuses to tell me what it was, then I intend to find the answers for myself. I've decided that I, for one, won't keep any more secrets. Oh, Susie! That's a very meaningful look Susato-san's giving Iris there. Forensic Science Symposium. Lord Strongheart mentioned something about that symposium too. I think he said that investigative authorities from 40 different countries will attend. Yes, I'm from Japan. My father and Judge Jigoku have been invited. It looks like there is a thick canvas with a thick rubber lining of sorts. I've never seen anything like it before. Oh. Ah. It's something of an honor, I believe. Well, Professor Mikotoba is the leading expert in forensic medicine in our country, after all. But who's the other person you mentioned? The judge, did you say? Yes, His Excellency, Judge Seishiro Jigoku. You met him, Mr. Naruto, last year, in the Supreme Court. You can't possibly have forgotten. And that terrible trial of yours when you were accused of murder. Yes, I try to think of that as a positive turning point in my life these days. Well, it was Judge Jigoku who presided over that trial. If I'm perfectly honest, I'd be happy never to see that man's face again in my life. Oh, well, anyway, his father was invited to the symposium. He agreed to me returning to Britain too. I won't actually arrive until next month, but, well, I couldn't wait. So I pleaded with him, and in the end he agreed to me going on ahead. Yes, about the symposium. It seems as though Lord Strongheart has put in an awful lot of work to make it happen. It's obviously very important. I believe it is, yes. As I understand it, Lord Strongheart organised the entire event himself. I think he's hoping that by achieving exceptional results, he'll get the job of Attorney General. The most senior position in the British justice system. So hoping to use his power to create the world's finest policing institution. That's what Father said anyway. Apparently it's Lord Strongheart's lifelong ambition. Does Professor Mikotoba know Lord Strongheart personally then? Actually, Lord Strongheart gave me a long speech all about this very subject only yesterday. But I saw lost the will to live early on and didn't really listen much of it. I'm trying for you. Giselle Brett, the woman whose unforgivable actions ended in me being wrongly accused of a crime I didn't commit. The murder of John H. Wood. Yes, Giselle Brett. That's a name I won't forget for as long as I live. The extraordinary thing is, though, it seems it's a name we should all forget. Sorry? Since the incident, our government's intelligence services have been investigating Miss Brett. But it turns out that an English woman by the name of Giselle Brett didn't actually exist. Didn't exist? But how can that be? It was a pseudonym. Her real name was Sheen. And she wasn't a visiting student either. That was a front. A front? Who on earth was she then? Miss A. Shin. Her name is literally all our intelligence services have been able to ascertain about her. Nobody knows why or even how she came to be in Japan. It's a complete mystery. But that makes no sense. It's no easy task to be accepted as a foreign student anywhere. What could the woman have been up to? I'm afraid I really don't know. The only thing we can be sure of is that she had some business in our country that we don't yet understand. And now she's been killed, while all the questions surrounding her existence remain unanswered. I'm afraid so. A. Shin. Who on earth was she? Why do I feel as though I've heard that name before somewhere? The Morse code. After my friend Ray's trial, the reporter who actually killed Miss Brett said something very strange. Obviously, I couldn't ask him to elaborate at the time, but later I visited the man in his prison cell and asked him what he was going to say about Kazuma-sama. What did you learn? After he died on the voyage to Great Britain, his body should have been unladen at the port of Hong Kong and passed into the care of the consulate staff now. Should have been. Well, it turns out that his body never arrived. It just disappeared. What? Kazuma's body vanished? Our government tried to cover the fact up, it seems. They erected a grave on the cliffs by our hometown. Except Kazuma-sama isn't there. Did Professor Mikotoba know about this? Yes, it would seem that he did. But he didn't tell me. They're still investigating what happened to Kazuma-sama's body as we speak. I just don't believe it. And what is this acute feeling of apprehension I have all of a sudden? The fact that he looks like him? Thinking back now, some of the things that happened on the SS Burya were definitely strange. I mean, after he died, we never saw his body again, did we? If he died. Could it be that he's actually still alive? Stop it, Mr. Naruhodo. It's too much to bear. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Just thinking about the possibility pains me so very much. Cast your mind back for a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. When Kazuma-sama was discovered, Mr. Sholmes was there, wasn't he? And he definitely examined the body. I remember it clearly. Ah, you're right. So if Kazuma hadn't actually been dead at all, it would mean that Mr. Sholmes had lied to us. There's no reason why he would possibly have done such a thing. Maybe as a test to see how far Inosuke would get. The idea that he might still be alive somewhere. It wants to fill me with hope, but I can't let it, because if it turned out not to be true, I'd be back at the bottom of that awful pit of despair again. I'm terrified of what that might do to me. Oh, Miss Susato. I know she's given the idea of what it deserves. It's Susato-san we're talking about, after all, so I probably shouldn't push it now. Mr. Sato, do you see this? I have such great expectation in your eyes, Mr. I'm afraid nothing particularly useful comes to mind now. Oh, sorry, I'm not sure what I was expecting really. So they still haven't told her about how A. Shin killed her father. So she was playing the same trick as Graydon. Or as he pretended to be at the time, Eggert Benedict. But then Mr. Sholmes forbade you from publishing it. And put the manuscript somewhere nobody could get their hands on it. So nobody knows anything about it apart from early on. For some reason, you knew the title of it, didn't you, Susie? And you wouldn't tell me how you'd come to know it. Yes, but I made you a promise I'd explain one day, didn't I? I think it's time. Oh? I'm only sorry I've had to keep it from you for so long, Iris. It was completely by accident I came to know the title of your manuscript, Iris. It was a short while before I left Japan. I was cleaning Father's study and I saw something on his writing desk. A large box of papers. There was a label affixed to the box that was written in English. It read, "The Hound of the Baskervilles." What? My Baskerville story? Of course, I had no idea what it was at the time, but Father came in and... Susato, what are you doing? Oh, Father! Did you look at those papers? No, I simply read the label, that's all. Well, put it out of your mind. Sorry? Forget that you ever saw it, and certainly don't tell anybody else about this. Do you understand? But what was Iris' manuscript doing in Japan? I have no idea, but when I heard Iris mention the word Baskerville that day, the title just slipped out. I would never have guessed. That was an unpublished account of one of Mr. Sholmes' exploits. When I returned to Japan, I asked Father to explain, but he refused questions, and there was no sign of the big box in his office. That's really all I know about it. I've no doubt that Father has a very good reason for being so secretive about it, but still. I made up my mind to explain myself to both of you. Well, thank you for being so honest, Susie. And I'm ending the episode.